Tea is one of those beverages that everyone assumes is healthy. Natural antioxidants, ancient traditions, calming rituals. We're told it's good for us, that a daily cuppa keeps us well. But what if I told you that a McGill University study found a single plastic tea bag releases 11.6 billion microplastic particles into your cup? What if half the tea brands tested by CBC Marketplace exceeded legal pesticide limits? And what if the tea you're drinking right now contains neurotoxic chemicals banned in multiple countries? Australians consume over 14,000 tons of tea annually, and nearly 90% is imported. Behind those comforting boxes on supermarket shelves lies a disturbing reality of contamination, exploitation, and corporate deception. Today, I'm exposing 9 tea brands you should never buy and revealing the 3 brands actually worth your money. By the end of this video, you'll never look at your tea the same way. Let's start with the least offensive and work our way to the absolute worst offenders poisoning Australians every single day. Number 9. Nerada Organics. Nerada markets itself as premium Australian organic tea grown in the pristine Queensland rainforest. The packaging shows lush green landscapes and Australian Rainforest Alliance certification. At $8.50 for 50 bags, you're paying premium prices for what seems like a premium product. Organic, Australian, sustainable. Surely this is the healthy choice, right? Wrong. First, let's talk about what organic actually means. Nerada grows tea without synthetic pesticides, which sounds great, but organic doesn't equal quality. The tea leaf quality is mediocre at best. They use excessive stems and older leaves because they're maximizing yield from limited Australian production. When you open a Nerada bag, you're not seeing premium whole leaves. You're seeing chopped stems mixed with leaf fragments. But here's the bigger problem nobody talks about. Queensland's Atherton tablelands, where Nerada grows their tea, has naturally high fluoride levels in the soil. Even without pesticides, the tea plants absorb excessive fluoride. Independent testing found Nerada contains over 5.2 milligrams of fluoride per litre when brewed. That's well above safe consumption limits. Excessive fluoride causes skeletal fluorosis, where your bones become brittle and dense. It disrupts thyroid function and affects neurological development in children. And the contradiction? They use plastic fibers in their tea bags to seal them. Organic tea in plastic bags. The McGill study found these bags release billions of microplastic particles. You're paying $8.50 for mediocre organic tea with fluoride contamination in plastic bags. Classic greenwashing. Number 8. T2 Fruity Tea Blends. T2 is the Instagram darling of Australian tea. Beautiful stores, trendy packaging, premium artisan image. Their fruity blends come in gorgeous tins with names like Sleep Tight and Gorgeous Geisha. At $15 for 100 grams, you're paying serious money. The stores smell amazing. The aesthetic is perfect. This must be quality tea, right? Absolute rubbish hidden behind pretty packaging. Let's break down what's actually inside. The primary ingredient is apple pieces, not premium fruit, dried apple waste from juice production. It's the cheapest possible filler in the tea industry. Then come the natural flavors. When you open their strawberry blend, that overwhelming smell isn't from strawberries, it's synthetic flavor compounds created in laboratories. Actual strawberry content might be 2%. The rest is apple waste. Chicory root is another cheap filler, and artificial strawberry flavoring labeled as natural flavors. According to food labeling laws, companies can use up to 100 different chemical ingredients and still call it a single natural flavor. These aren't strawberries. These are flavor chemicals designed to smell like strawberries. Dried fruit pieces are prone to mold, so these blends are treated with sulfur dioxide and other preservatives. You're drinking preservatives along with artificial flavors and apple waste. T2 doesn't disclose this. At $15 for 100 grams, you're paying $150 per kilogram for apple waste and chemicals. They've created beautiful retail environments and Instagram-worthy packaging to sell you garbage at luxury prices. You're paying for aesthetic marketing, not quality ingredients. Number 7. Dilmah. Dilmah positions itself as premium single-origin Ceylon tea from Sri Lanka. Elegant packaging with gold accents. The brand has prestige. At $9 for 50 bags, it's mid-premium pricing. Dilmah markets heavily on being producer-owned and ethically sourced. Many Australians consider it trustworthy. Here's the reality they don't advertise. Dilmah sources from massive industrial plantations where pesticide use is standard practice. Independent testing by Greenpeace found Dilmah contains chlorpyrifos and quinalphos. Chlorpyrifos is a neurotoxin linked to developmental problems in children, banned or restricted in multiple countries. Quinfolus is another organophosphate pesticide causing neurological damage with repeated exposure. These residues accumulate in your body over time. What makes Dilmah particularly concerning is the fluoride problem. Sri Lankan tea is notorious for high fluoride content. Testing found Dilmah contains over 5.8 milligrams of fluoride per litre when brewed. That's nearly 4 times the recommended daily limit. If you're drinking 3 cups daily, you're consuming over 17 milligrams of fluoride. Add fluoridated tap water and fluoride toothpaste, and you're looking at serious toxicity risks. Symptoms include joint pain, bone density issues, thyroid dysfunction, and skeletal fibrosis. The tea bags are chlorine-bleached paper. The bleaching creates dioxins, carcinogenic compounds that leach into your tea when you pour boiling water over the bags. Dilmah has decent flavor because they use single-origin tea, but flavor doesn't matter when you're consuming neurotoxic pesticides, excessive fluoride, and carcinogenic dioxins. You're paying $9 for contaminated tea in bleached bags. Number 6. Pukka has perfected the wellness tea aesthetic. Beautiful illustrated packaging, organic certification, sustainability messaging. They position themselves as the ethical choice for health-conscious consumers. At $9 for $20, that's 45 cents per bag. Premium pricing for premium wellness, right? Here's what Pukka doesn't want you to know. Many varieties use licorice root as a primary ingredient, not as a minor addition, but as a main component. Licorice root is cheap filler that adds sweetness, but regular licorice consumption is dangerous. It contains glycyrrhizin, a compound causing serious health issues when consumed frequently. Medical studies show regular licorice intake causes hypertension, hypokalemia, cardiac arrhythmias, and muscle weakness. The safe limit for glycyrrhizin is around 100 milligrams daily, but Pukka uses licorice heavily across multiple blends. If you're drinking 2 or 3 cups daily, you're likely exceeding safe limits. What makes Pukka particularly problematic are their detox and cleanse varieties. These contain senna leaf, a powerful laxative. Senna irritates your colon lining to stimulate bowel movements. Regular use causes laxative dependency, where your colon stops functioning normally without it. Long-term senna use damages the myenteric plexus, the nerve network controlling intestinal movement. You're literally damaging your digestive system. These aren't wellness teas, they're laxative products disguised as cleansing blends. Despite claiming organic ingredients, independent testing found some varieties contained pesticide residues, and the tea bags contain plastic fibers, organic herbs in plastic bags, releasing microplastics into your wellness tea. You're drinking laxatives that damage your colon, licorice disrupting your cardiovascular system, and pesticide residues. At 45 cents per bag, this is wellness theater, not actual health. Number 5. Celestial Seasonings. Celestial Seasonings is everywhere in Australian supermarkets. Colourful boxes, endless flavours, that friendly American brand image. At $6 for 20 bags, it's affordable. The herbal options seem healthy and natural. This is where things get genuinely frightening. In 2013, independent laboratory testing found Celestial Seasonings contained shockingly high pesticide levels. Some varieties had over 20 different pesticide residues in a single bag. The Sleepy Time tea contained chlorprofam, propagite, and other pesticides banned in the US due to cancer risks. Pesticides banned in America were found in American tea sold in Australia. How? Because Celestial Seasoning sources from countries with minimal regulation and doesn't adequately test. They buy the cheapest possible herbs from China, India, and South America, where pesticide oversight barely exists. The testing also found heavy metal contamination. Lead and cadmium levels in several varieties exceeded safe limits. These heavy metals accumulate in your organs over time. Lead causes neurological damage and kidney problems. Cadmium is carcinogenic and damages kidneys and bones. After the 2013 testing went public, Celestial Seasonings claimed they fixed the issues. But subsequent testing in 2016 found pesticides still present. Many varieties feature natural on the packaging, but they add natural flavors, synthetic compounds created in laboratories. At $6 for 20 bags, you cannot source, process, and sell quality herbs for 30 cents per bag. You're getting contaminated industrial waste with banned pesticides, heavy metals, and artificial flavoring. Never buy Celestial Seasonings. Now let's expose the final 4 brands. Number 4. Bushell's Blue Label is an Australian icon. Founded in 1883, it's been in Australian pantries for generations. There's intense brand loyalty, especially among older Australians who grew up with it. At $8 for 100 bags, it's budget-friendly. Bushell's trades heavily on Australian nostalgia and heritage. People buy it thinking they're supporting an Aussie brand and getting quality tea their grandparents drank. Here's the truth that brand loyalty is hidden. Bushell's is now owned by CVC Capital Partners, a private equity firm based in Jersey, a notorious tax haven. That Australian heritage brand, it's owned by offshore corporate interests. The tea comes from wherever is cheapest, typically India, Kenya, and China. There's nothing Australian about Bushell's except the nostalgic marketing. The actual tea quality is terrible. Open a Bushell's box and you'll find mostly tea dust and tiny fannings. These are the swept-up remnants after quality tea is packaged. Bushell's is using the absolute bottom of the barrel. The tiny particles release tannins extremely quickly, creating that harsh, astringent taste. Independent testing found Bushell's contains pesticide residues and concerningly high fluoride levels. Because they source from multiple countries with varying standards, contamination is inconsistent and unpredictable. One batch might have endosulfan from Indian tea, another might have monocrotophos from Kenyan sources. Testing found fluoride levels over 6.2 milligrams per liter when brewed strong, which is how most people prepare it, since the dust requires aggressive brewing. The tea bags are bleached paper containing chlorine byproducts. You're extracting dioxins along with your tea dust. That loyalty is being exploited. They're selling contaminated imported tea dust while trading on Australian heritage. You're paying $8 for offshore corporate garbage disguised as Aussie tradition. Number 3. Tetley was launched in Australia in 1963 and is now available nationwide. Most Australians don't know Tetley has been owned by India's Tata Group since 2000. At $7 for 100 bags, it's cheap. And like all cheap tea, it's garbage. In April 2014, Columbia Law School and The Guardian reported that some of Tetley's tea is harvested by workers who don't receive minimum wage in India. A BBC investigation in 2015 revealed conditions on plantations supplying Tetley. Workers were paid about $1.50 per day, far below India's already low minimum wage. Many were malnourished. Living quarters had leaking roofs, open drains, and cesspits flooding into living areas. An Oxfam report found 50% of households on Assam tea plantations held below poverty line ration cards. Women bear the heaviest burden in the lowest paid plucking roles. For every kilogram of packaged Assam tea sold, brands and supermarkets take up to 95% of the consumer price. Less than 5% remains to pay workers. When you buy Tetley, you're directly funding this exploitation. But exploitation isn't the only problem. Tetley's tea bags contain polypropylene plastic to seal them. This plastic releases microplastics when exposed to boiling water. That McGill University study specifically tested bags like Tetley's. A single plastic tea bag releases 11.6 billion microplastic particles and 3.1 billion nanoplastic particles into your cup. You're drinking more plastic than tea. These particles accumulate in your organs. Scientists are finding microplastics in human blood, lungs, and even placentas. Early research suggests links to inflammation, hormonal disruption, and cellular damage. Tetley also uses old tea leaves and stems, not quality leaf. The resulting tea is harsh and bitter. The CBC Marketplace investigation found Tetley among those with pesticide levels exceeding legal limits. At $7 for 100 bags, real quality tea cannot be produced and sold for 7 cents per bag. You're drinking contaminated tea dust from exploited workers in plastic bags, poisoning you with billions of microplastic particles every single cup. Number 2. Twinings dominates the Australian tea market. By 2017, they held 37% market share, more than double their nearest competitor. Twinings has this premium British heritage image that makes people trust the brand completely. At $7.50 for 50 bags, it's mid-range pricing. The packaging is elegant. The varieties seem sophisticated. This is quality tea from a respectable British company, right? Here's what Twinings doesn't advertise. They're owned by Associated British Foods, a British multinational targeted by UK Uncut in 2011 for tax avoidance involving interest-free loans to a Luxembourg entity, reportedly avoiding about £9.7 million in tax per year. That premium British brand, they're dodging taxes while Australians pay full price. Twinings. English breakfast is a blend of the cheapest teas from multiple countries: Kenya, India, Sri Lanka, and China. When tea is blended from multiple origins, it's a red flag. They're buying whatever's cheapest and mixing it together. Quality is completely inconsistent batch to batch. In 2014, CBC's Marketplace investigation tested 10 tea brands for pesticides. Half contained levels exceeding legal limits. Twinings was among those highest in pesticide contamination. A 2012 Greenpeace investigation tested 18 Chinese teas and found all contained at least 3 types of pesticides. 14 contained pesticides banned for use on tea. Since Twinings sources globally and packs much in China, this is deeply concerning. But here's what makes Twinings particularly dangerous. Independent testing found concerning fluoride levels. One study found Twinings English breakfast contained over 6.1 milligrams of fluoride per litre when brewed. That's 3 times the safe limit. If you're drinking 2 or 3 cups daily, you're consuming 12 to 18 milligrams of fluoride. This causes skeletal fluorosis, thyroid problems, and neurological issues. The tea bags are also problematic. Twinings uses plastic in their bags to seal them. When you pour boiling water over plastic, it leaches microplastics into your tea. The pyramid bags are even worse, made entirely from nylon or PET plastic. That's not a tea bag. That's a plastic sachet releasing billions of particles. Despite British heritage branding, Twinings adds natural flavors to many products. These can contain 50 to 100 ingredients, including solvents, emulsifiers, and preservatives, all hidden under a single label. You think you're buying pure Earl Grey. You're getting tea dust with artificial bergamot flavor and hidden chemical additives. At $7.50, you're paying for British marketing and contaminated tea in plastic bags. Number 1. Lipton. Here we are, the worst tea brand sold in Australia. Lipton is the world's largest tea brand, and that should tell you everything. At $6 for 100 bags, it seems like great value. It's everywhere. Supermarkets, hotels, cafes, service stations. But this is the absolute worst garbage you can put in your body. Lipton is now owned by CVC Capital Partners, the same private equity firm based in Jersey that owns Bushels. Every dollar you spend on Lipton funds offshore corporate interests operating from a tax haven. Now let's talk about what you're actually drinking. Lipton uses the lowest quality tea dust and fannings swept up from factory floors. Real tea should be whole leaves or at least broken leaves with substance. Lipton uses the absolute dregs of tea production. The tiny particles and dust left over after quality tea is packaged. When tea is this finely ground, it releases tannins very quickly, creating that bitter, harsh taste Lipton is infamous for. But the real horror is contamination. Independent testing found Lipton contains pesticide residues, including endosulfan and monocrotophos, both banned in many countries due to severe health risks. Endosulfan is a neurotoxin that accumulates in your body over time, linked to developmental disorders, reproductive problems, and neurological damage. Monocrotophos is an organophosphate pesticide, so toxic it's been banned in the European Union. These aren't trace amounts. These are measurable residues in every cup. The CBC Marketplace investigation found Lipton Yellow Label, Lipton Clear Green, and Lipton Darjeeling all tested positive for excessive pesticide levels. A Greenpeace China report found all tested Lipton brands contain 3 to 17 types of pesticides. This raises serious questions about Lipton's quality control globally. The tea is grown in heavily polluted areas of India, Kenya, and Indonesia, where soil contamination is a major issue. You're drinking industrial tea contaminated with agricultural chemicals from regions with minimal environmental oversight. Lipton has been linked to the same Assam plantations exposed by the BBC, where workers earn $1.50 per day and live in squalid conditions. The tea is harvested by exploited workers paid poverty wages while living in decrepit housing with no access to clean water or adequate health care. Despite claims about natural tea, Lipton adds natural flavoring to many varieties. This is code for artificial flavor compounds created in labs. Companies can use up to 100 ingredients and still call it a single natural flavor. The tea bags are bleached paper that leaches chlorine byproducts into your tea. At $6 for 100 bags, you're getting exactly what you pay for. Contaminated tea dust swept from factory floors, harvested by exploited workers, grown in polluted regions, treated with banned pesticides, packaged in bleach bags, owned by offshore tax avoiders. This is the tea industry at its absolute worst. Never buy Lipton. Here's what you need to understand. The tea industry is built on exploitation and contamination. Tea you buy for $6 to $8 per box cannot be quality tea. Real quality tea costs real money to produce. When you're paying 6 cents, 8 cents per bag, you're getting industrial waste. Most supermarket tea is grown on massive plantations where workers are exploited, pesticides are used heavily, and environmental regulations don't exist. So what should you buy instead? Number 1. Madura Tea. Madura is genuinely Australian-grown tea from northern New South Wales. At $12 for 50 grams, it's expensive because growing tea in Australia costs more than importing from Asia, but you're getting actually Australian certified organic tea. The quality is good, whole leaves, fresh, and the flavor is smooth. Because it's grown in Australia, you can visit the plantation. That transparency is valuable. Madura tests for heavy metals and ensures fluoride levels are within safe limits because they own the entire supply chain. The tea bags are biodegradable and plastic-free, no microplastics. This is how Australian tea should be done. Local production, organic certification, rigorous quality control, and sustainable packaging. The flavor isn't as complex as premium Asian teas because Australian climate isn't ideal for tea growing, but it's honest, clean tea. If you want to support Australian agriculture while ensuring you're not drinking contaminants, Madura is worth the premium. Number 2. Prana Chai. If you want chai, Prana is the only acceptable Australian option. At $15 for 120 grams, it's expensive, but this is real chai made properly. The ingredients are organic spices and organic tea, nothing artificial. Cardamom, cinnamon, ginger, cloves, black pepper, star anise, and black tea. When you open the bag, the spice smell is incredible. That's real spices, not artificial flavoring. You brew this on the stove with milk and sweetener, and it's spectacular. This is what chai is supposed to taste like. Spicy, warming, complex. Not the sickly sweet artificial chai lattes from cafes. Prana sources organic spices from fair trade suppliers and uses quality organic tea. Everything is tested for contamination. The packaging is resealable to keep spices fresh. This is proper chai made by people who understand the tradition. Yes, it requires actual brewing, But if you want real chai without pesticides, without artificial flavors, without exploitation, this is worth it. Number 3. T2 Pure Leaf Tea Range. While I destroyed T2's fruity blends earlier, their pure loose leaf range is actually excellent. At $12 to $18 per 100 grams, you're paying for genuine quality. Their Japanese Sencha, English Breakfast Loose Leaf, and Earl Grey Loose Leaf are truly good tea. These are whole leaves from single origins. When you open the tin, you see actual intact tea leaves, not dust. The Japanese Sencha is sourced from Japanese estates and has that clean, grassy flavor quality green tea should have. Their English Breakfast is a blend of Assam and Ceylon from specific estates. You can taste the difference compared to supermarket dust. T2 tests their pure teas for pesticides and heavy metals. The loose leaf packaging is in sealed tins that preserve freshness. Buy their loose leaf varieties only. Avoid the fruity blends. Stick to their pure black, green, white and oolong teas in loose leaf form. If this video shocked you and changed how you think about tea, smash that like button right now. Share this with every tea drinker you know, because most Australians have no idea they're drinking contaminated tea dust from exploited workers. Subscribe to the channel because I'm exposing more food industry frauds poisoning Australians. Hit the bell icon so you don't miss the next video. Drop a comment below telling me which tea brand surprised you most, or if you've been drinking any of these and didn't realize they were contaminated. Your health matters. Your choices matter. Vote with your wallet and demand better.